Today's lecture will be on services sector in India. Services sector or the tertiary sector is the third of the three sector model. The other two sectors of the model are the secondary and the primary sector. Okay. The agricultural and allied sector services are known as the primary sector, whereas the manufacturing sector is known as the secondary sector. It's as simple as that. For a detailed understanding on the primary sector and the secondary sector, you can watch my videos on agriculture, industrial, and infrastructural sectors of India. Well, when it comes to services sector, one has to understand that, but only assist in the process of protection. Thus, the activities relating to transport, storage, communication, banks, and trade, and so on and so forth are included under services sector. In India, the services sector has evolved continuously over the past 4 decades or so, modifying the structure of employment and the composition of value added. In other countries, economic growth has led to a shift from agriculture to industries. But in case of India, there has been a shift from agriculture to the services sector. Currently, services sector accounts for about 54% of the economy and almost 4/5 of the total FDI inflows. Also, services sector has the highest labor productivity. However, despite its phenomenal growth trend, employment has not kept pace with the share of the sector in the economy. Major criticism leveled against service sector is that it is not inclusive in nature, as it has not produced the number of jobs required. In recent times, pandemic, mandated lockdown and social distancing measures have definitely had a significant impact on the services sector, as it is contact intensive in nature. During the first of the financial year 2020-21, the services sector contracted by almost 16%. As the economy gradually entered the unlock phase, services sector showed signs of recovery. In particular, freight traffic, port traffic, and domestic passenger air traffic is increasing gradually, although travel remains muted as compared to the previous year. Interestingly, in spite of the pandemic, FDI inflows into the service sector increased by 34% during April-September 2020 to reach 23.61 billion US dollars. The reasons may be due to many significant structural reforms in sectors like space, IT BPO sectors, and e-commerce. Given the situation, this session will concentrate more on the recent developments in the services sector of India. Well, let me start my presentation, friends. In India, service sector covers a wide variety of activities, right from trade, hotel, restaurants, transport, storage and communication, financing. Under financing, we have like banking, insurance, real estate, business services, community, social and personal services associated with the construction related activities. And one thing we have to keep in mind is that like services sector is predominantly a contact intensive one, because of which it has been mostly affected due to pandemic. In spite of all these things, like service sector remains the most dominant sector in India's GDP. In fact, like this sector, the services sector has contributed somewhere around like 55% to India's gross value added in the year 2020-21. And under the service sector, the subsectors, the important subsectors, areas like financial, real estate, and professional services are dominating the scene. And then only comes trade, hotels, transport, communication, and services related to broadcasting. Also, public administration, defense, and other services. Out and out, like it has to be kept in mind, like somewhere around like 55% contribution is coming from services sector to India's gross value added. So, and particularly in the first half of 2020-21, it has witnessed almost like a contraction of 16%. And particularly the highest percentage of contraction come from subsectors like trade, hotels, transport, communication, and services. And then comes public administration and other services, and then comes financial, real estate, and professional services grouping. Okay. And if you take the case of advanced estimates, the first advanced estimates of 2020-21, I can see the total services has contracted to 8.8%. But in case of 2019-20, it witnessed a growth rate of 5.5%. And also, like in the first quarter of 2021, total services contracted to 20%. But again, like in the second quarter of 2020-21, you can see like the contraction level has lessened and it has come down to 11.4%. And similarly, for the grouping trade, hotels, transport, communication, and service-related broadcasting, the contraction level has lessened from 47% to 15.6%. But it is not so in the case of the group of financial, real estate, and professional services, where like the contraction has expanded from 5.3 to 8.1%. And similarly, for the group public administration, defense, and other services, the contraction has expanded from 10.3% to 12% in from first quarter to the second quarter. So this is the overall view about services sector. Then we can move on to the services index. Okay. Particularly, we will be taking up services purchasing managers index, popularly known as a PMI index. This index was given by IHS Markit India Services Business Activity, which is also known as Services Purchasing Managers Index. And in February 2020, it was like in 57.5, whereas like it fell to its lowest level of 5.4 in April 2020. However, the services PMI index referred to 52.3 in December 2020, and most importantly because of by the time like the unlocking phase has happened, and because of which the services PMI index started to bounce back. So this is as far as services PMI index, and it shows the sector is resuming back to its normal phase. And from a services index to the percentage increase. And among the subsectors of services like tourism, hotels, and restaurants attracts more credit, or in the sense that like it receives more credit, bank credit. And then comes sectors like transport operators and wholesale trade and so on and so forth. But like if you closely look at the table that I have given, like the shipping and professional services has contracted to a greater extent. Obviously, this is because of COVID and mandated lockdown. So this is as far as growth in bank credit is concerned. And then we can move on to the FDI inflows. And among the world nations, like India stands in the 9th place as far as FDI recipients is concerned. This is a indicator given by World Investment Report 2020, published by none other than United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. Okay, and moreover, our service sector has been the largest recipient of FDI with an inflow of 83.14 billion US dollars between April 2000 and June 2020. And when you break up these service sectors, like subsectors, we closely look at the subsectors, the highest share is taken away by the computer software and the hardware subsector. So this is the subsector which garners most of the FDI. Almost like 75% of FDI goes to computer software and hardware subsectors. And then only comes financial, business outsourcing, courier, tech texting and analyzing, and so on and so forth. And then comes retail trading. So this is the percentage or share of equity inflows into service sectors. And one thing that I want to highlight here is that like computer software and hardware attracts the most FDI inflows. Okay, from FDI inflows we can move on to the next thing, that is service exports. And among the old nations, like India is among, it comes in top 10 places, particularly in commercial services in 2019. And if you compare with world nations, like India accounts for 3.5% of service exports. In fact, like even in spite of a pandemic, service sector provided a steady flow of revenue, current receipts, even though exports from a few subsectors were adversely affected, particularly ports, aviation, and has been affected to a greater extent. But in spite of that, performance is noteworthy. And if you look at the table that I have given over here, you can see that the share of service exports among the subsectors, like the highest export is done by software services. Okay, and then only comes travel, transportation. Like even like in the previous year, like in 2019-20 also, like highest exports were done by software services, after which comes travel. And if you look at the that is the thing, like in 2019-20. Okay. And when it comes to total service imports, you see in the same table that imports are higher as far as transportation is concerned, and then comes travel. Okay, so this is as far as service imports are concerned. Okay, from service exports, we can move on to the next one. Like here, what we are going to do right from here is that like we are going to closely look at the subsectors of the service sector. The most affected subsector is like tourism and hospitality. So we are going to start from tourism and hospitality. And obviously, it has emerged as one of the key drivers of growth among the service sector in India. In fact, like in the year 2019, the contribution of travel and tourism to gross domestic product was 6.8%. Okay, so and not only that, like in the financial year 2020, tourism sector accounted almost like 39 million job, which was almost like 8% of the total employment in the country. So that is one another highlight as far as tourism sector is concerned. And moreover, India is ranked globally the third largest in terms of investment in travel and tourism, with an inflow of 45.7 billion US dollars accounting to almost 6% of the total investment in our country. Okay. So, and if you look at the table given there, like foreign tourist arrivals, like in 2016-17 was like 8.8 million, and it slowly increased to 10 million in 2017-18, and it reached 10.6 million in 2018-19. That's like provisional figures for 2019-20, 2019-20 says that like it has almost touched 11 million units. So definitely, foreign tourist arrivals for the last 4 years so has been on a rise. When it comes to foreign exchange through this tourism, like you can also see a similar trend. That is like 22 point US billion dollars in 2016-17 has reached to 30 US billion dollars in 2019-20. So in terms of our numbers, in terms of foreign exchange earnings, definitely there is an increasing trend. So, and the next figure shows that travel and tourism total contribution to GDP. And again, like you can see, like definitely there is an increasing trend from 2016 to 2019, and even the projections also say the same thing. So this is travel and tourism put together. Okay. Okay. And purpose-wise, like why in the last slide, like we were discussing about foreign tourist arrivals and their numbers and the foreign exchange earnings and all, right? And what is the main purpose foreign tourists visit India? Like it is surprising to note that like the majority of them visit India for recreation purpose, for leisure, holiday, and recreation purposes, and then only comes business and professional, and then comes Indian diaspora, and then for other medical and treatment purposes. So, leisure, holiday, and recreation like tops the list. That is the main purpose, main agenda for foreign tourist arrivals in India. That is for the year 2019. The next slide. And India has been ranked 23rd in the world in terms of international tourist arrivals in 2019, but like falling slightly from 22nd position in 2018. That means like last 2 years, like the tourist inflow has gone down. Okay, and moreover, India accounts for 1.2%, 1.23% of world's international tourist arrivals, and also India ranks 12th in the world in terms of tourism foreign exchange earnings, accounting for about like 2% of world's tourism foreign exchange earnings. Okay, this is particularly for tourism foreign exchange earnings. And another highlight about India's tourism is that it has been ranked 34th place in travel and tourism competitive index. Because why I'm saying is significant is that like it has improved from the rank of 65 in 2013 to 34 now. So that is a tremendous achievement considering from where we have started. So, and then because of the COVID, like we closed our economy, closed our borders, and from March till June it has been closed. And you can look at the graphs that has been given, like from March till June, like there is a decline of arrival of foreign tourists. And, also, like there is a huge decline of foreign exchange earnings. Like again, like this, previously I have mentioned about all these things. Like the graph also shows you the same thing, and this has been taken from Ministry of Tourism database. Okay. And now let me share some of the initiatives taken by the government to boost tourism sector, tourism and hospitality sector. And one thing that I like to bring to your notice is the program that was launched in 2002 by the name Incredible India. It is an international tourism campaign to promote tourism in India. It all started there. And the next thing that I'd like to highlight here is Sudesh Darshan scheme. It aims to promote, develop, and harness the potential of tourism in India. And in fact, like in the year 2019-20, like fund of rupees like 1,854 crores were sanctioned for new projects under Swadesh Darshan scheme. And next thing I like to highlight is SATI system for assessment, awareness, and training for hospitality industry. And this is particularly introduced to assess the hospitality industries in their preparedness to continue operations safely and also to mitigate risk arising out of COVID pandemic. Okay, so this is SATI for you. And the next one is like I would like to mention about Vande Bharat mission. And you all know, like because of COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of NRIs have been stranded up abroad, and in order to evacuate Indians from abroad, like this Vande Bharat mission was launched in the month of May 2020. Under this Vande Bharat mission, in fact, like which is in the ninth phase, the government of India has established a transport bubbles with other countries to repatriate its citizens. So this is Vande Bharat mission for you. And from hospitality, from tourism and hospitality, like we can go on to the next most important subsector of services, which is nothing but IT, information technology, business processing management, BPM. This IT industry accounts for almost like 8% of India's GDP, like which was in 2020. In fact, this IT BPM industry has been the flag bearer of India's exports for the last 20 years or so. Not only that, India remains a leading sourcing destination among the world nations, accounting for almost 55% market share of the global services sourcing business in the year 2019-20. Moreover, over the last decade, the industry grew by 102%, reaching $190.5 billion in revenue in 2019-20. Not only that, it doesn't stop there, and it also added almost like 1.8 million employees. It's up by like 70% over the last 10 years. So in two ways, one is like it has brought like so much of revenue and has given like so much of employment opportunities. And one more thing I want to bring to your notice is that like in 2016-17, ITBM service revenues were like somewhere around $140 billion, and which has increased to 174.53. Okay, so this is like estimates, advanced estimates, whereas like exports like stood somewhere around 116.1 billion dollars in 2016-17, has gradually increased to 146.6 billion dollars in 2019-20, whereas like the domestic services, like it was like 23 billion dollars. And again, like similar to that of revenues and exports, it has also gradually increased and reached $28 billion in 2019-20. So out and out, like IT and DPM has like a tremendous growth rate in terms of revenue, in terms of exports, and also in terms of domestic services. Okay. Still, let's continue on with IT BPM. In the last 6 years, IT services has constituted the majority share of the IT BPM sector. Among the IT BPM sector, like we have IT services, BPM, business processing, hardware, software products, and engineering services. Okay, out of these 4 subsectors, IT BPM sector, IT services has constituted the majority share. Like in fact, like 50% of the share has been contributed by the information technology services. Next comes the software and engineering services, and which has witnessed a consistent growth every year, and which constitutes about like 21% share of the total sector, of the total sector, essentially IT BPM sector in 2019-20. First comes IT services, next comes software engineering services, and then only comes BPM services, and it shows a consistent performance in the last 5 years or so, and like it maintains a share of somewhere around 20%. But the hardware services, when it comes to hardware services, like it is showing a declining share. In fact, like in 2014-15, like its share was like 10.3%, but it has gone down to 8.4% like in 2019-20. So, and then comes like IT BPM sectors exports. Out of the total exports of IT BPM sector in 2019-20, IT services alone account for 54% of the exports. Okay, so such is the domination of IT services. And the BPM and software products and engineering services account for the remaining 46%. Okay, so majority is dominated by IT services, BPM, and software products and engineering sectors. All 3 subsectors witnessed an increase in export revenues in 2019-20, with IT services growing by 6.9%, and BPM services grew by 8.4%, and like software products and engineering services grew by 10.7%. So this is as far as total exports of IT BPM sector is concerned. From there, we can move on to FDI investments. This sector, including software and hardware sector, ranked second in FDI inflows. In the financial year 2020-21, computer software and hardware topped the FDI investments, accounting for 44% of the 44% share of the total FDI inflow. And America remains the biggest recipient of exports, accounting for about 62% of total IT BPM exports, which is followed by UK, Europe, and Asian Pacific countries. To boost IT BPM sector, the government released in the year 2020 simplified other service provider guidelines, OSP guidelines, in order to improve the ease of doing business in the information technology industry and BPO and IT-enabled services. Okay. So from IT BPM sector, let's move on to aviation sector, Indian aviation sector. The distance flown is like 1,549.7 million kilometers by scheduled airlines. And in the financial year 2020, air passenger traffic is around like 116 millions, and the number of aircrafts totals around like 680, and the cargo handled in the financial year 2020 is 3.3 million tons. And when it comes to international comparison, like India is the 3rd largest domestic aviation market in the world. Between the financial year 2016 to financial year 2020, domestic aircraft movement has increased at a compound annual growth rate of 9.83%, and the international aircraft movement expanded at a compound annual growth rate of 3.57%. So, on a comparative basis, domestic aircraft movement growth has outclassed international aircraft movement. In the last 4 years or so, the airline passengers numbers has definitely increased. That is, like in 2016-17, like it was 158 million, whereas like in 2019-20, like it has crossed like 200 million. So definitely there is an increase in the number of airline passengers. Like when we break it up, like as domestic and international, definitely like domestic has more number of passengers. Like it was like 103.7 million like in 2016-17, and it has reached 141 million in 2019-20. Whereas like international just lesser passengers, to the tune of 54.7 million in 2016-17 has increased to 60 million in 2019-20. Overall, like definitely there is an increasing trend in the movement of domestic and international airline passengers. Okay. Not only domestic and international passengers, even the freight traffic grew at a compound annual growth rate of 5.32% during the financial year 2016 and 2020. And now let me give some of the government initiatives to propel aviation sector. In the year 2020, Government of India launched Lifeline Udaan flights to transport essential medical cargo to remote parts of India to fight COVID-19 pandemic. Not only that, open sky policy is being adopted by the Indian government. It is nothing but a bilateral agreement, and it usually determines the number of flights that their airlines can operate between the two countries. So that is another one important thing which I want to highlight. And moreover, when it comes to aviation, like you can't like skip a National Civil Aviation Policy 2016. In which in fact like allows the government to enter into open sky air services agreement on a reciprocal basis with South Asian for regional cooperation nations, that is SAARC nations, as well as countries beyond a 5,000 kilometer radius from New Delhi. So this is one important objective of National Civil Aviation Policy 2016, which is doing wonders for the sector. After aviation, let's take up ports, and in fact, like it is the 16th largest maritime country in the world, with a coastline of about 7,517 kilometers. And moreover, India has 12 major and 205 notified minor and intermediate ports. Significantly, around 95% of India's trading by volume and 70% by value is done through Indian ports, like through maritime transport. And when it comes to market share of ports for financial year 2020-21, major ports contribute 54%, whereas like non-major ports contributes 46%. In when it comes to foreign direct investment (FDI), up to 100% is allowed under the automatic route for port, harbor construction and maintenance projects. In the last 4 years, that is between 2016-17 to 2019-20, the port traffic has definitely increased gradually. There is no doubt about it. Same is the case for cargo capacity. Like in 2016-17 to, if you take up like 2019-20, definitely the cargo capacity has also improved gradually. And again, like if you look at the graph in the screen, the annual growth in port traffic, it was doing so well for the last 4 or 5 years, but again, like from the period like April to November, like there is a dip. It's all because of COVID-19 and the mandated lockdown, and slowly it has started to recover, particularly after November, like because of unlocking process. Okay, fine. And now let me take up some of the initiatives of government to support port and shipping. Most importantly, 10-year tax holidays were given to the enterprises that develop, maintain, and operate ports. Not only that, also which aims to maintain and operate inland waterways and inland coasts. And another one thing that I would like to highlight here is Sagarmala project. It is covers more than 574 projects worth of 6 lakh crores, which has been planned to be implemented between the period 2015 and 2035, almost it has started and it has started performing well. And under this Sagarmala project, 4 pillars are there, which I would like to highlight here. The first pillar is port modernization projects. The second one is port connectivity projects. Third one is port-led industrialization projects, and the last one is coastal community development projects. These are the 4 things that has been covered under Sagarmala project for the period 2015 and 2035. Not only that, the major port authorities bill 2020 was introduced by the government of India to reorient the governance model in central ports to align with the international best practices. One more thing I would like to highlight is that Unity, a project was launched in 2014, which aims to enhance the operational and financial performance of the 12 major ports in India with selected Indian private ports and best-in-class international ports. And again, Unity is also very important when it comes to port and shipping. Okay. From there, we can move on to telecommunication. India is the world's second largest telecommunication market with a subscriber base of 1.16 billion. Not only that, it ranks the world's second largest market in terms of total internet users, and it also tops 5 employment opportunity generator in the country. When it comes to the composition of telephone subscribers, wireless dominates the scene entirely. Almost 98% are wireless subscribers. Only the remaining 1.7% are wireline subscribers. And when it comes to rural-urban differentiation, 70.2 have telephone subscribers. 70.2 urban people have telephone subscribers, whereas the remaining 30% are rural. So when it comes to urban rural, obviously as expected, urban dominates the show. And the next important indicator which I would like to discuss is wireless phone subscriptions and wireless internet subscriptions. Obviously, we have mentioned for the month February 2021, now I would like to what happened over the last 4 years or so. And when it comes to wireless phone subscriptions, in 2016-17, it was 1,170 million units. But somehow or other, it has come down to 1,157 million units. Slowly, the wireless phone subscriptions is going down. Maybe probably we would have reached a position where we don't require much subscriptions. And when it comes to wireless internet subscriptions, now we can see like it has improved. Like that is like in 2016-17, like from 400 million units, like it has reached 720.7 million units. Obviously, it shows the consumer preference for internet subscriptions than phone subscriptions. Okay. And I would like to take up some of the other important aspects about telecommunications. Obviously, 100% FDI is allowed, but however, out of this 100% FDI, 49% will be done through automatic route, and the rest will be done through FIPB approval. Okay, so that is there. And there are a number of government initiatives to support telecommunications, like, which includes BharatNet, like particularly for achieving the goal of Digital India program. And this has been done to afford broadband services to rural areas. And this is in turn done with the partnership of states and the private sector. Not only that, like in the Union Budget 2020-21, Government of India has allocated around 14,200 crores for telecom infrastructure development, particularly to boost defense services, and particularly to roll out broadband services to panchayats, and improving mobile services in the northern eastern region of India. So that is it. And also the cabinet has approved 12,195 crore production-linked incentive scheme for telecom and networking products. And moreover, like 5G subscriptions is on the rise, particularly narrow band Internet of Things, which is a standard-based low power wide area technology. It is being developed to enable a wide range of new devices and services. As I said, like it has been classified as a 5G technology. That is like narrow band Internet of Things. Not only that, the government has also launched a national broadband mission with an aim to provide a broadband connectivity to all the villages in India by the year 2022. So these are some of the measures taken by the government to improve telecom sector. Okay, the next comes real estate, and this real estate sector is expected to contribute to somewhere around like 13% to country's GDP, like in the year 2020-25. Such is the hopes for a real estate sector. And this real estate sector comprises of 4 subsectors, namely housing, retail, hospitality, and commercial services. And in India, the real estate sector is the second highest employment generator after the agriculture sector. So that we have to keep in mind when it comes to the real estate sector. Okay. And moreover, like the demand for commercial space is on the rise in the last 5 years or so. And one more thing I would like to highlight is that construction is the 3rd largest sector in terms of FDI inflow. And moreover, here, like I would like to bring up some government initiatives, starting from smart city project. It's a very popular one, like which was brought in to build 100 smart cities. And it is considered as a very good opportunity for real estate companies to thrive upon. And not only that, like Government of India also announced the application of Real Estate Regulation and Development Act 2016 in the Jammu and Kashmir. And in fact, like this Real Estate Regulation and Development Act has paved the way for any Indian citizen to buy non-agricultural land and property, as opposed to the eligibility of only local residents can buy and sell non-agricultural land and property. Okay, so this is Real Estate Regulation and Development Act for you. And To overcome COVID-induced lockdown, economic slowdown, the government of India through Atmanirbhar Bharat 1.0 stressed the real estate developers and ensured completion of project by extending registration and completion date of real estate project under Real Estate Regulation and Development Act. Okay, so that is one important thing. I repeat, Real Estate Regulation and Development Act. Okay, and not only Atmanirbhar Bharat 1.1, like even under the ranking Atmanirbhar Bharat 3.0, a package included particularly for income tax relief measures for real estate developers and home buyers for purchasing and selling of residential units of value. Okay, so through both Atmanirbhar Bharat 1.1, Atmanirbhar Bharat 3.0, like there have been initiatives from the government side to support the growth of real estate. From real estate, let us move on to the retail services. It is the world's fifth largest global destination in the retail space. I mean, India is the world's fifth largest global destination in the retail space, and the retail accounts for about like 10% of country's GDP and around 8% of the employment. This because like you can understand the importance of retail spaces. And moreover, Indian retail trading has received FTA equity inflow of 3.44 billion US dollars during April 2000 to December 2024. Definitely, there is a huge increase of FTA inflow in retailing sector. Okay. Now let's have a close look at the category-wise breakup of total retail market. And among the retail services, like apparel and footwear dominates the show, and then comes consumer durables and IT, followed by jewelry and accessories, health and entertainment, home decor and furnishings, beauty and personal care, and so on and so forth. So apparel and footwear dominates Indian retail market. And when it comes to e-commerce market, like then definitely there is a huge jump. Like that is like in 2018 it was like $25.8 billion, and it has reached like 32.3 billion dollars like in 2009, and in fact forecasts are showing a doubling of this much units like in 2026. Okay, and when it comes to FTA, the government of India has allowed 100% in online retail of goods and services through the automatic route. And moreover, the government's focus to improve digital infrastructure in Tier 2 and Tier 3 markets would also work as a favorable thing to the sector. And moreover, the government is aimed to relax sourcing and investment rules for the retail sector in order to attract more foreign supermarket chains, including Walmart and Tesco. And also, the government has published through Department of Consumer Affairs the Consumer Protection E-commerce Rules 2020 to strengthen to safeguard e-commerce market in India. So this is all about retail services. From there, we can move on to the next important service sector, which is banking. And banking sector is dominant in India, and in fact, like it accounts for more than half of the financial sector, whether in terms of deposit, whether in terms of deposits, like we can see a huge increase during the period 2018 to 2021. And when it comes to the growth in bank credit, like it is going down. That is like in the financial year 2018, the bank credit was like 1,781, but like in 2021, like it went down to 1,487. So when it comes to bank credit, definitely it is showing a declining trend. Uh, Moreover, when it comes to breakup of banks in India, public sector banks dominance, and then comes uh, private sector bank, and then comes the foreign banks, and then comes regional rural banks. Okay. Now let me take up an important initiative by the government to boost banking sector, which is nothing but Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana scheme. This Jan Dhan Yojana scheme like envisages universal access to banking facilities, and it aims to become an inclusive one. Okay, there's a national mission on financial inclusion aims an integrated approach to bring about comprehensive financial inclusion of all the households in the country. When I say like financial inclusion, like uh, all the excluded sections, like weaker sections, low income groups, uh, are try to bring under this Jan Dhan Yojana scheme. So, universal access to banking facilities is the motto of Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana scheme. And next, let's take up insurance sector. And insurance industry of India has almost like 57 insurance company, out of which like 24 are in life insurance business, whereas the remaining 34 are non-life insurers. Among the life insurers, LIC is the sole public sector company. And there are 6 public sector insurers in the non-life insurance segment. In addition to these, there is a sole national reinsurer, namely GIC, General Insurance Corporation of India. Now let's have a look at the share of public and private sector in life insurance. LIC is the major occupies the major share, like almost like 66% is goes to LIC, and only remaining 33% goes to private sector. And from a share of public and private sector in life insurance, we can go to non-life insurance. Again, like in terms of non-life insurance, private sector is dominating the show. Almost like 48% comes from private sector, whereas the remaining 52% is shared between the public sector, standalone health insurers, and specialized insurance. Okay, so that is as far as non-life insurance is concerned. And when it comes to life insurance premium, like definitely there is an increase, but like in the financial year 2020-21, like there is a decline, but obviously that is due to COVID and induced lockdown. Out of this non-life insurance gross direct premiums, which one dominates is that like motor. Okay, and then only like motor vehicle like comes like health, and then comes like fire and so on and so forth. So motor insurance like is the dominant thing as far as non-life insurance is concerned. And in the budget, Union Budget 2021, like the government increased the FDI limit in insurance from 49% to 74% and 100% for insurance intermediaries. And one major scheme to propel to strengthen insurance scheme is Atal Pension Yojana, which is a social security scheme aim to provide a steady flow of income for those who are over 60 years for all the citizens of India. So that is the peculiarity of Atal Pension Yojana scheme. And also I would like to mention about Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana scheme. It is a life cover insurance scheme of rupees 2 lakhs. And it shall be for 1 year period stretching from 1st of June to 31st May, and it will be a renewable one. This Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana scheme is being offered by LIC and all other life insurers who are willing to offer the product on similar terms. So this is insurance, my dear friends. And then let me take up space sector. And in the last 6 decades or so, Indian space program has grown exponentially. This expansion is from simple mapping services in the 1960s to many diversified uses, including research and development in space sector and so on and so forth. And in fact, like it is being estimated that the commercial satellite industry accounts for nearly 75% of the global space business, which shows that there is a huge opportunity like in the space sector, which is untapped so far. And moreover, understanding the opportunities in space sector, like the Indian government has spent about like 1.8 billion US dollars on space programs in the year like 2019-20. However, India lags behind nations like USA. In fact, like USA spends about like 10 times more than India in space sector. And also like India lags behind like China, which happens to spend more than about 6 times than India. So even though we have increased our spending on space sector, we have to go a long way to catch up countries like USA and China, particularly in terms of space sector. And moreover, the government of India has established Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center for promoting industries and particularly attracting private investment in the space sector. And moreover, by difference, like we look at the table given, like which is about number of satellite launches for the period 2015 and 2019, and definitely, like you can see that India's satellite launch has increased from 5 to 7 in 2016, but again it has went down to 5 in 2017 and has went up by 7 in 2018, and again it's going down by 6. It shows that like on an average it's okay, but like there is a fluctuating trend in terms of satellite launch by India, and also like when you compare with USA, Russia, and China, like we are nowhere near. That shows that like still a lot more of investment has to be done in the space sector to tap the potential. So with that, let me conclude the session on services sector in India. And now, like there is a ongoing vaccination drive, which is very good for the service sector, considering the case that like it is a contact intensive sector, which is expected to witness a revival. So with that hope, and let me conclude this session on services sector in India. Thanks for joining us. Take care. Bye-bye.